Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris Podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chatter himself, Ryan MK. That's right, up true. There we go. We're rocking. We're rolling. Yeah. Glad to have you all with me today. I'm actually coming to you, as you know, full transparency for those of you new. This will come out Friday. You're listening to this Friday, but in fact, I'm recording it Thursday night on the intermission before overtime between the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Nashville Predators. It's been a hell of a hockey game. Enjoy me some hockey. I'm sitting around waiting for the Avalanche to play again because they done swept the fucking Blues. Woo, bye-bye Blues. Go back to St. Louis. Swept them. And yes, they await the winner of tomorrow night's Game 7 between the Minnesota Wild, a team I have a bit of a fondness for, and the Vegas Knights. Yes, should be interesting. Sorry. Starting the pod out with fucking puck talk. Hookie. Love me some hookie, though. Anyway, I appreciate you joining me. Don't forget to check out my social media. Check out all my good stuffs at RMK Madness on the Twitters, on the Grams. You can check out, if you're into the fantasy football world, you can check out my content. I write for playerprofiler.com. You can check out the Dynasty Wonderland podcast. Me and my guy, Aaron Stewart, the March Heron. You've heard him before if you've been listening to this pod for long enough. Because he's made an appearance or two, I should say. So check out all that stuff. I've got little just skits here and there. I've got my mad cooking with the chatter. I have my crazy shit about space. And of course, my weekly what the fuck. That'll be coming out tomorrow. But it's been good. I actually, this afternoon, got back from Breckenridge, Colorado. My mother has a condo there. And, well, for the longest time, she would rent it out because she's a nurse. Many years working in, one hospital and then a second one. And she had decided, I want to do traveling nursing. Yes, right. That sounds fun. And she did that for a very long time. And she would rent it out when she wasn't there. Now, she's pretty much retired. So, it's kind of her place now. But she was out in Florida and said, hey, you guys go up there, hang out if you want. So we did. It was kind of chilly. And, they had a good amount of stuff open and everything, but it's kind of like a loosey-goosey mask mandate now. It's kind of like if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. So it's like people could just lie because I don't think you're going and asking every person that's not wearing a mask, can I see your vaccine card? Or maybe they do. I guess I don't know. But we had a good time. We still did a few things. It was fun. Got to hang out, did a little bit of an arcade. There wasn't too many people in there. There's just a few and younger wearing masks, so good for them. And yeah, went and played in the arcade. I know I'm being weird about the mask. Here's the thing. Even though it's supposed to be all loosey-goosey, I personally am still a little concerned about the variants and everything with that. We still know. And I mean, even the CDC says if you're immune compromised, or someone close to you is, you still need to be careful, wearing masks, etc. At least that's the last thing I read. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. Wearing my shit for a while as to not infect anyone in my home. I know. I get it. I'm ready for, just as everybody else is, for this shit to be over with, right? But it is what it is. It's just a damn shame if we would have done the right shit in the beginning, if the leader of our country at the time had done the right shit. We wouldn't even be in this position now. But I digress. Breckenridge was a lot of fun, and it was just nice to get up there. It's so peaceful up there. You don't hear the hustle and bustle, the city noise, any of that shit. So it's just very quiet, peaceful. It's very nice just sitting out on the porch, enjoying a nice blunt with the wife, relaxing, looking at snow-capped mountains, enjoying the quiet. It was nice. It really was. But I'm also rather happy to be back home. I'm a bit of a homebody, and just really, if my home was up there, I'd be comfortable, up there all the time. But I enjoy being in my space, I guess, so I can feel like I can do as I will, as I want. So, but yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. And the playoffs, still watch that up there. Hockey, basketball, it's all good. And of course, since we last spoke, I know I put it out last week, and it was the little one's birthday. Turned 4 years old. Got a bunch of dinosaur stuff. He had a great time. He also got, from my mother, he got an Ender Dragon plush toy from Minecraft. It's a Ender Dragon stuffed animal, and he carries this around. Stuffy, as the kids call him these days. The young kids, the little kids, as they call them these days. Stuffies is what they're called. So, stuffed animals, stuffy. That is a little bit easier, I suppose. Stuffies. Anyway, so an Ender Dragon stuffy. Very fucking cool. So he had a good birthday. It was nice. And he got some Legos. And hey, I'm playing with the Legos and dinos too, so I'm all fucking for it. And even though he seems to now be comfortable with the idea of 4, because as explained on the last pod, he's not thrilled with the idea of growing up, having to, poop in the potty and eat vegetables, things like that. This is his concern. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's scary. It's scary. And speaking of growing up, later on in the pod, I will be discussing some of my youth and my growing up and kind of what led to my addiction. I've been talking about it for a while now. If I decided I'm finally going to do it, we're going to discuss just, I'm not going to go full in-depth 2-hour explanation here, but we'll get into a little bit about my story pertaining to alcoholism, addiction, and just, some of that, because it's good for some people to hear. Either they've been through it, they're going through it, loved ones going through it, etc. So we got to get into it. I've been talking about it, so we'll be doing that. But first, we are going to hit some news. Okay, so a little bit of news, world news, local news, however you want to look at it, it's all over the place, because here's the thing I don't understand. UFOs, or as they're now known as, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, at least by the government. And speaking of the government, they continue to let this a little bit of information drizzle out. You had Obama admitting about footage and records of UAPs. I mean, Lou Elizondo, totally butchered dude's last name. Sorry, Lou. Discuss a former runner of the program, the ATIP program, right? He's discussing Area 51, government cover. You can look into all this stuff, and it's crazy. And as Bizarre Lazar, finally getting to crediting people here, on Twitter he put it perfectly. The world is so messed up right now that the U.S. government told us UFOs are real, and we all shrugged like, meh, we have bigger shit to worry about. Perfect. Dead on. Right. Right on, Bizarre Lazar. Makes fucking sense to me. And there's bigger shit to worry about, like the crazy fucking Republicans. Not all of them, but most especially the still Trumpers. I mean, it's like you're gonna have the issues, the guns, the pro-life hypocrisy. It doesn't even get me started. Rejection of science when it comes to climate change and as recent, the virus. And a lot of them continue to act as though masks are still this ultimate infringement on their freedom. Like, we have laws and stuff in place. Like, there are, like, I don't understand that. Like, clothes. Do you know clothes? Because clothes, you have to wear those, right? I mean, you could not, but you could get in trouble for it, right? So you got wonderful Marjorie Taylor Greene comparing mandatory mask requirements to when the Nazis made Jews wear the stars. Mitch McConnell, good old Mitch McConnell, Senate Minority Leader, fuckhead, if you ask me. His words after, coming out of Congress, like, not the mask mandate, free at last, really. This motherfucker ripped off wonderful Dr. MLK and then chose to use that. Like, this dude, that's privilege right there, folks. That's fucking privilege. If you think infringement on your freedom is simply having to put on a mask in certain areas, boy, you've lived a pretty privileged fucking lifestyle, I would say. And, there's more, there's plenty, more than there should be, still backing Trump and those ideas. Even though he's likely to be indicted for tax fraud. And even though recently the EPA senior officials were admitted to have altered science under the Trump administration. And there's a lot of senior scientists at the EPA upset with this. They're questioning, why are we doing this? This doesn't make sense. For Trump. That's the kind of shit dictators do. You dictate. Trump was trying to dictate what science came out instead of the scientists just letting them report their findings. Shit was altered. That's bullshit. And you'll never forget Trump and his buddies. Yes, climate change, hoax, not real. Also, not responsible for all the fires last year. No, that's rake up your leaves. Don't forget to rake up your leaves, because that's what really caused the fires, right? Wasn't any climate change. No. Climate change? No. You fuckers just didn't rake up your leaves. That's what the problem is, right? This is the kind of shit you heard out of their mouths. And you also heard Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about, like, Jewish banks and space lasers and shit like that. Space lasers started the fires. It's just like, climate's going to shit, and there's a bunch of people in denial about it because nowhere else in the world have those in power done such a marvelous job of creating division. And it's funny how those in power that's created the division reap such great rewards. And, I can say this as someone who's never been affiliated with either side, because none of my parents really were anything like that. And I've watched from the middle. You can see, I mean, it's pretty simple if you ask me. Pretty fucking simple. But I don't know. To each their own, as they say. But there's some shit that you can't deny. And people are trying to deny it. And it's crazy shit. And a lot of them reside on that side, the right. They're called the right. And I once read a tweet about someone that said, that's why they call us the right, because we're always right. You're always stupid. Plenty fucking stupid is what you are, and hypocritical and ignorant, because the climate's going to shit. And we're just not buying it. Is that what's going on? Okay. Are you buying into, some of these other superpowers building up, nuclear arsenals? I mean, y'all seem to be pretty, good with the Russians. I mean, it seems like y'all are fine with Putin, even though he's done some crazy shit, fucked up shit. And I mean, I even fucking read a shirt once that said, I'd rather be a commie than a Democrat. Like, these fucking people are stupid. Don't get me wrong. There are some good Republicans and conservatives out there. Hard to find. But there's definitely a gap now because not all of them buy into this Trump shit, but a lot of them do. And so they probably don't care so much about Russia and the nuclear bombers they're training in Syria. Like, there's some whack shit going on there, as there is in China. China's building these fast breeder reactors in this little tiny island, Fujian Island, Changbao, and scheduled for one in 2023 to be started, and the next in 2026. Now, these fast breeder reactors are different than normal reactors. There's lots of differences, like they use liquid, what was it? Something. They don't use water. Okay, they use different things. And these reactors, rather than, they're not really used anymore by like US, the United Kingdom, Germany. They use these water-based ones. And a gnat. They're annoying the shit out of me, the gnats. We get some of them from growing the marijuana. Don't worry, people. It's legal. I'm in Colorado. I got a license. Growing the marijuana. Legally. But sometimes you get the gnats and they fly around. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Getting kind of lost in my notes here. Excuse me. But the point is that these reactors, these conventional reactors, are what are normally used now. But China, well, they're building these fast breeder ones that not only are different, and they extract 70% basically of energy from uranium. They use this uranium-238 as opposed to a different isotope of uranium, the uranium-235, which is used in conventional reactors. So the conventional reactors, water-based, they use uranium-235, and they use about 1% of the energy of that uranium, okay? 1 fucking percent. These conventional reactors, okay, are basically making enough energy fuel for what they need. The difference in what China's doing with these fast breeder reactors and how they're getting 70%, because like I said, they're extracting 70% compared to conventional reactors, 1%. And so they're using the uranium-238, and they're getting 70% of the energy from that. And they're using it, and it makes, the way these reactors work, it makes plutonium-239, which is a key ingredient for nuclear weapons. And these reactors basically use artificial radioactive decay to do this. And basically, all this extra energy, it could create 1,270 nuclear weapons for China by 2030, scientists estimate. Especially concerning because China no longer reports to the international association that deals with this stuff. Like the U.S., a lot of countries in Asia, South Korea, Japan, the United States, we all report to the IAEA. And so there, and basically what you're supposed to report to this group is like the basically what the energy you're not using for weapons. And China doesn't do this. So that's fucking weird, right? So, like, anytime somebody's secretive about shit, that's something to be a little worried about, especially when it's someone shady like a China, you know? And hey, y'all know me, nothing prejudicial going on there with China except for they got a shit leader right now and he's censoring the shit out of their people and he's telling them bullshit and lies and they're creating some scary shit there, as are they in Russia, like I said. And apologies if I fumbled some words and fumbled some of what I say. Some of the reactor stuff is kind of tricky to get into because I'm not a scientist in that regard. No, no. But I have a basic understanding of a lot of stuff like that, like just general science and chemistry and things like that. I did pretty good in chem, so I have a basic understanding of some of this stuff. So if I learn enough about it, I can get a grasp on it, and it's pretty interesting to see how different these fucking reactors are that China's built, and it is fucking worse. Like, and apparently Russia has like, man. Scary shit going on in the world, right in our own backyard. We just gotta, keep going, push through, find a way to survive. We're survivors. It's always one of my favorite parts of Shaun of the Dead. Hey, how are you? Surviving. Yeah, I'm good. I'm surviving. Takes a lot to survive addiction. And even if you survive the worst parts, you get sober, clean. It's still a daily battle. Now, over time, if you're doing the right things, it gets way easier. But you still got to keep that shit at the forefront of your brain. It never goes away. So take a quick break, and then we're going to get into a little bit of my story pertaining to my alcoholism and kind of what led me there, got me down that path. And after immense struggle, how I came out of it and became the person that I'm happy to see look back at me in the mirror. Didn't always feel that way. So, quick break, we come back and get into that. Yes. Nice blunt for story time here. That's right. And you know what? Some of you are probably like, what the hell? It's about to tell an addiction story, smoking weed. Oh yeah, the Mad Chatter. He's a big piehead. But hey, I'll get into that. In due time. But it's funny. I think about how much I enjoy when it comes to smoking weed. How shit's evolved and how you have these cones now where instead of rolling, you can just fill them up with the weed. It's so great. And the blunt ones, Zigzag has these blunt ones that are great. And I'm just a big fan. But on the other hand, it's also at times I kind of miss the days of rolling. I mean, I remember a buddy of mine, Sean. He was a good friend. We played in some bands together. And he would bring over some weed and some Garcia Vegas and say, go to town, man, roll them up, let's smoke. I'm like, it was great for me because all I had to do was roll the damn things and he'd get me high. He's smoking them with me. So it's kind of the deal. I'll bring the stuff, you roll them up, we'll get high. And we used to throw in a 40, watch the Kings versus Lakers, big basketball fans. It was good times. But obviously, the beer was no good. But as I said, I kind of want to get into a little bit of some parts of my youth, just a little bit. Yeah, I bring it up because it's kind of most kids, and I wouldn't even say most kids, even nowadays. I think a lot of kids get through deal with some fucked up shit here or there. But I felt like, I never really truly knew who I was. I was always very nervous and shy. And then I'd always try and break away from that, but I got bullied a little bit. And then as I got into middle school, I got bullied really bad. But there, I actually found some friends and a group I felt I belonged to. But I never really understood or felt I knew who I was and was always unsure. Again, looking in the mirror, the reflection you see back I was always unsure. And, so I get into a little bit of my youth because I think it plays an important part. And it just also, the grand scheme of things, the whole reason I bring this up is I come across as kind of a cocky motherfucker, but when it comes down to it, I try and stay humble. I've been through some shit in my life, and it's not anything like, yeah, I've survived it. I'm a survivor. I'm fucking here, but it wasn't done without a lot of help. You know what I mean? I had a shit ton of help throughout the whole process, throughout life, period. So like, even though, yeah, it's been rough, I had a lot of help in getting through some of that. Now, there's a lot of help I didn't get that I couldn't got it that I could have gotten from some people, and I didn't. But I got enough help. And at some point, after a lot of immense failure, I did find a way, and something clicked in my brain, and you have the chatter you have before you. So I think there's parts of the whole story that matter. And again, not doing this to brag or say no, it's important. Like a lot of help I got along with shit, hearing other people and what they went through and how they overcame it helped me a great deal. So like I said, maybe this helps someone who's dealing with a rough patch in their life, or maybe it's very relatable to someone who's in a spot like where I am, or maybe it's someone who has a loved one who's dealing with addiction. Many people can relate to this kind of stuff. But when it comes to, life in general, for the chatter, started out pretty well, seemed like I had a happy family, parents, a couple of brothers, it was the five of us, had a dog, a couple of birds, parakeets. Mine was named Jordan, after Michael Jordan. And I was into sports. I did karate. I was really good at baseball. I wanted to be really good at basketball and football. I wasn't bad at basketball, actually. It was pretty good, but I was really good at baseball. And at some point, I got a lot more into music and, playing drums and playing in a band. I wanted to spend my time doing that. And plus, I didn't have to wake up early for band practice, and I could smoke weed at band practice. It was a lot better than football practice. And, you know, but I I did get molested by a family member at an early age, an extended family, someone on my mom's side of the family, and so that was I don't remember a ton of like that in particular, other than having to talk to like psychologists and not liking that. So like it's that's a lot. It's very hazy for me. Um, because really I had enough shit going on. Like I wasn't a popular kid. Um, even in like fourth, fifth grade, friends had girlfriends, and you're like, how can kids have it? Well, they talk about it and they do it like, but I wasn't popular with girls. I didn't have many friends. I had just one friend, Nick Donahue. I've tried to fucking find this guy, one friend. And basically he was really good to me, man. He treated me good. We hung out a lot, and he would always kind of defend me at school. And then he moved away, and I went to middle school, and there I met Anu and Adrian, and we used to make fun of each other. I think I've talked about these guys before. Anu was Hindu, and Adrian was half black, half Asian. And I say half Asian because I can't remember for the life of me. Japanese, Korean, Chinese. I want to say Japanese, but I'm not sure. So I just say Asian. Adrian Gordon, if you're out there, buddy. It's Ryan MK. Get a hold of me. You too, Nick Donahue. I had spoken to Anu once. That conversation didn't go well, and then he like unfriended me on Facebook. It was awkward. But anyway, We used to have a lot of fun, and this is part of where all my diversity and my belief in diversity comes from, because my father at a young age had me hanging out with, people, kids of different ethnicities. David Kim, uh, my Korean friend. I'm not sure if my dad worked with his dad or somehow we got hooked up, and we both love basketball. So we'd sit around, trade basketball cards, talk ball, shoot ball, and it was very important to my parents to get me, involved with not white kids, basically. And I was very grateful for that. And it made it very easy in school because I was down to hang out with anybody. And part of that was because I didn't have a lot of friends. And part of that was because I was pretty comfortable with like people that weren't white. And we had a lot of fun with these guys, but man, I also dealt with what was called the Marachek Mafia. And it was actually a group of kids that were a grade below us. But the leader of the Marachek Mafia, Jocko, his older brother, was his older brother was the leader of a real gang. And so everybody was terrified of this Jocko dude because, like, hey, nobody wants to fuck with him because his older brother will kill you. And he had this one white dude in his clique. It's this goofy looking dude with a bowl haircut and glasses. And he was shooting. I was in detention one day, and this kid was shooting spitwoods at me. He told him to knock it the fuck out before I knocked him out. Next thing I know, after school, it's me and him. And this Jocko kid walks up and basically terrifies all of my friends that I have, which isn't many. I knew Adrian, a couple others. And they're all standing there just doing nothing. And I'm to just stand there and get my ass kicked. Well, basically, to let this dude, Anthony, this white dude, punch me a few times in the stomach, and we call it even. I'm like, what the fuck? I ended up scared. I went along with it. Just try some shit like that nowadays. I do every once in a while. I'm like, I've let go a lot of shit in my life. But if I ever ran across that Jocko motherfucker, I might bitch slap the fuck out of him. I might. Not playing, man. That one's a little hard to let go of. He really made him and his clique made life a little bit like hell for a while. And then it wasn't too far after that. I finally was getting ready to go into high school, and the parents get divorced. Seems like everything's amicable at first. Me and the brother, we're going to stay with my dad in the house, and my mom was going to go do her thing. And then something switched, and there was a big custody battle. At the beginning, when my dad first found out, he freaked out. He basically kidnapped us, took us to Iowa, because this is when I grew up here in Denver, Colorado. I lived in Iowa for many years, and it's not from this kidnapping, no. And it was, I mean, it was never classified. He was never charged with kidnapping, obviously, but it was essentially like, because he had custody, he was just like, we're getting the fuck out of here. And it was a crazy ass situation. And it was just, the whole divorce was like that. My mom met a new guy and was like trying to introduce him right away. Like there was mistakes on both sides. And it really like, probably my youngest brother doesn't remember a lot of it, but me and the middle guy, Dane, he did, like, it was tough on us. It was tough on us. And get into high school, and I'm getting really into, smoking weed, playing music. And like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to go to school, fucking school sucks, and parents suck, and life sucks. Music ruled. And, and so come to find out, this Marachek Mafia, the name of the middle school was Marachek, by the way, Marachek Middle School. This is Marachek Mafia. And they, I guess, were still a thing. And I was part of like a big clique of, kind of like, stoners, skaters, rockers, musicians, and metalheads. And there's like, had our little cliques, but we were all like one big group. And I guess a couple of dudes were jumped and beaten with their own skateboards by this Marachek Mafia. Same motherfuckers that used to terrorize me. And so a bunch of us went down to Rangeview High, from Rangeview High School, where we were at, to Mirage Middle School, and we're waiting for these dudes. And then I'm like, no, we got to go to this one side place. That's where I always walked home. That's where they would always start trying and fuck with me. And I mean, these guys, it wasn't just at school. If I was walking to the park, there was a big park by my house, and you walk through the park. I mean, there's all sorts of cool shit in the park too, baseball diamonds, an actual park. There's cool like places within like the trees to get high and shit. A lot of cool stuff there. But you walk through the park, you get to like fast food places, grocery stores. And I mean, if they found me anywhere in that park, they'd fucking get me. And so I had headed up to these guys. I'm like, no, we got to go there. So me and this dude, Jake, his girlfriend, Wendy, drove us around back. And we see up ahead is all these cop cars pull up to all the kids there, all our buddies. And we're sitting there like, that's all right. We'll still get them. See one of the cop cars disappear, ends up pulling up behind us, and boom. Expelled from school, moving to Iowa. Now, at this point, it was just marijuana for me. But in Iowa, I'd gotten away from sports, like I said, because of, just getting into more music and stuff. But I continued down that path and really started embracing the rock star kind of lifestyle. And I thought that's where I was headed. This is what, I'm going to be. And I found alcohol at age 15. And I remember this dude I used to get stoned with, and rest in peace, Alan. But he was like, yeah, you just got to have a 40, man. It's great stuff. And I never wanted to try it because I remembered I'd smelled it before and it just smelled terrible beer. But I had a blast, had a 40 and a blunt. Ooh, was feeling good. And that was kind of the start of it. My dad always tried to warn me, you got alcoholism and addiction in your blood, man. You got to be careful with that shit. He was right. And, I just got to a point where, it was, drinking was a part. Like I was partying. That was like the big thing. Getting drunk was a big deal. I became a teenage parent in high school because after getting expelled, the whole reason I moved to Iowa was to be able to go to school again because I couldn't go to school anywhere in the area. And so after a few failed tries at high school, that's a whole different stuff. The trials and tribulations. I'd gone to three different high schools before I settled on West High School in Waterloo, Iowa. And then I ended up dropping out. I decided at some point to go back, heard about this alternative school called Expo High. And it was really cool there. You could eat snacks in class, drink pop. You could, it was just very more laid back. You called the teachers by their first name instead of Mr. something. It was Kathy or whatever, And so it was trying to take kids that had trouble in regular school and see if you put them in a different environment, if you can perform. The school did very well. They're shut down now. I don't know why, but school did very well, and it helped me, got me back on track, and I really got my shit together and ended up graduating as a father, but without one, because not too long before I graduated, at one point in my senior year, my dad died of his second heart attack. And this is it. I mean, at one point was painful. It's okay to talk about now, but I'm actually the one that found him dead. I remember my son was taking a nap, little baby boy, and my dad was taking a bath. And I was trying to take a nap on the couch because I was tired as fuck, probably from being drunk the night before. And my dad asked if I'd run and get him some Rolaids from the Quick Star, the gas station up the street. So I did, came back and asked if he needed anything else. No. And so I went and lay back down, hear a ring at the doorbell a little bit later. It's my kid's mom. She's there to pick him up. So I get him, go wrap him up, take him out. She leaves, going, Dad, you almost done, man. I got to take a shit. He's out, gone. I could tell something was wrong and called the ambulance and that whole ordeal. And I went to smoke some weed before I went down to the hospital. And I saw in the bathtub 2 fucking Rolaids. And it always killed me for the longest time. Fucking killed me. Because I'm like, I gave him those two Rolaids out of that package. I guess I forgot to mention that part. I brought him the Rolaids, got back from the store with the Rolaids, and he asked if I opened it up and give him a couple. So I did. So it was right after I gave him those two fucking Rolaids. He didn't even get those in his, like, it happened shortly after I walked out the door. It was tough. It was fucking tough, man. But that is important to bring up because it really started my downward spiral. And you don't want to blame stuff. I mean, you got to find a way to fight through, right? Some people crumble. I was one of those, and I found alcohol in a big way. But I made it through my senior year, and that's really when I started drank a little bit. Like I would carry around weed and a bottle of Jack Daniels in my car, and my senior year, it was just a breeze. The final month, instead of doing a final month of school, seniors would do this thing called, or no, it was a whole school thing. It was every year, but damn, I can't even remember what it was called. But you would pick one class for the entire month of May, and that was your last month of school. And so they had different things like band, and I did that the previous year. That's why I'm an idiot for saying it was just your senior year. Yeah, I did band, and my senior year I did softball. So we were just all getting fucking high and drunk and playing softball. It was great. It was great. But I graduated, made it through, and took over my dad's place where I was living with him. Just a little townhouse, 1 bedroom, little kitchen, okay sized living room, and then it had a basement. That's where I stayed. But that became the jam room. I took over my dad's room, and I did get a roommate. Oh no, he kind of slept in the bay. He kind of slept wherever, to be honest. But it was an old high school buddy, Justin, and he became my roommate through my dad passing and graduation. I built up quite a bit of savings. So, I was graduated. So I was like, I just kind of want to figure out what I want to do with my life and this and that. And it just became a downward spiral where I just chewed through the money. It was, I got a girlfriend and she was really into the drinking and the fact that I had money to spend. And yeah, bitch. And, if I ever make it big, that is, again, I try and be a good individual and stay humble, but sometimes I can't help it. And I'm like, man, there are going to be some ex-girlfriends. I would love to know what they're thinking if they see me. Like, imagine if this motherfucker, your chatter, gets a Netflix special. There's bound to be a couple of exes like, oh, no. Too good. So sad. Sorry, the blunt went out. The blunt went out. Got to get it going. So, as I said, took over dad's place, was just drinking all the time. I remember 9/11 happened, and I had woken up, and my girlfriend at that time was actually still in high school. Yes, legal. We were both legal, but still in high school. Or wait, maybe she was 17 and I was 19. I don't remember. But I would take her to senior high school. I would take her to high school and I'd go back home. I drink for a little bit and then I pass out. And usually I go pick her up. Sometimes her dad would. Sometimes she had shit to do. But 9/11, I remember taking her. I just went back and started day drinking. Turn on the TV and crazy shit was happening. And I just sat there all day and drank. And it was kind of through that time that I realized, like, oh, I don't have to be hungover if I just drink in the morning. Which is terrible because that's exactly where you get to alcoholism. It's terrible. But it's crazy. It's crazy to think about some of this stuff as I tell the story. But I continued that way for a while. Eventually, friends kind of quit hanging around, lost the girlfriend. I spent a little bit of time at staying with this dude, Stu. Like I was still had my place technically, but I was like behind on rent. And at one point, the electricity went out. So it's like I had the place, but I never wanted to be there. And I believe Stu is a recovering alcoholic because he very much kind of treated me in that way. I did kind of like a rough, like a tough love type of, gotta let you fucking just do your shit, get it out, and wait till you're at a point. And I think he just wanted to be there for me at my bottom, but he was also kind of weird, and he had some issues himself. Let me tell you, but I won't tell you. We don't need to get into that. But um, eventually, his his family didn't want me there because he did have a wife and kids. So, and looking back, I am grateful for them. Honestly, I might not have survived without him at that particular point. And for him to have a wife and kids and to be okay with this drunk dude just hanging out at his house all the time, and he had gotten his neck and back messed up basically, and so he was disabled, not working. So sorry, I had to let the goddamn cat in, apparently. So he, wife was at work all day, his kids were at school, and he liked having a buddy around, and he was a night owl, so he liked having a buddy to hang out with at night. And it was a weird relationship, but again, very grateful for them because I might not have survived. But that Christmas, they just they had to have me out for the holidays, and I got it. And I remember spending that Christmas. That would have been 2001. Yeah, same year I graduated. I was supposed to graduate in 2000, but because of all the dropping out and the moving in, but 2001 Christmas, no electricity, no heat, no nothing. I was just curled up in my dad's old recliner with a bottle of rum. Southern Comfort, actually. I got into just your regular, just 5 o'clock rum. There's never a spy. Hello, Hermione. This is my cat, everybody. For those of watching, for those not watching and just listening, you might have heard a little or like a brr, brr. I can't do it. I used to be able to do it, kid. I can't do it. Can you get out of my face, bro? I'm trying to podcast here. What are you doing? Get your booty down. Crazy ass cat. But yeah, so that was it. It was just me and the bottle on Christmas. And I think it might have been a couple days later. I don't really know. A lot of my drinking career, as we like to call it, it's just some vivid memories. A lot of it's a blur, obviously. But there was an offer to go stay with my kid's mom, so I did. And of course, she used it to try and hook back up with me, which we did. Figured I'd give it another try if I'm going to try and, get shit back together. Why not? Bad idea. Didn't work out again. And but I eventually got out on my own. And I was thankful for that too, because she helped me get on my feet. Okay, or at least give me a place for me to do that. I don't know, so I always appreciate that. And but I eventually got out on my own again. Got a new apartment. Girlfriend started playing in bands again. Started playing shows, and life was fucking good. And but again, the fucking drinking I'd slowed down. I'd really and really went back to beer, stayed away from it. Like I said, by the time I got back, by the time I was at the end and on myself by myself on Christmas, I was drinking not Southern Comfort, but Southern Host, this generic Southern Comfort that's 100 proof. That's the kind of shit I was chugging through a bottle and a half a day. That's the kind of shit I was drinking. And, drinking less, drinking beer, thought I was doing well. But over time, it gets bad again. I'd gotten this. When I first excuse me, got my new place. A couple of it's goddamn allergies. It's allergy season, and the chatter has seasonal allergies. And sometimes he gets his ass kicked and has a bit of a string of sneezes. Oh, great. But now my nose is all going to be. You hush up, Hermione. Anyway, we continue on. So I got in this place, got a job at IHOP, and this girlfriend. A couple years pass. I'm actually a manager at IHOP, worked my way up. But this guy, it was, IHOP is a corporation, so they have a chain of stores, but sometimes people buy them, lots of times, and they become franchise owners. And the one that we had was terrible. Didn't know what the fuck he was doing. I could get into details, but unless you know enough about the restaurant industry, you might not get it or might not care. Let's just say he was bad. Everything about the store started to go down, and he did nothing but blame us, the managers. And we had the store open 24/7, and he basically put it to where, like, all right, no more 8-hour shifts. All of you are working 12-hour days. We're going to have 2 managers a day, because he fired a manager, and he was like, I'm not hiring another one. This is what we're doing. He was just basically punishing us for his own failures over and over and over. And I just got sick of it. And me and one of the cooks and one of the servers, they were a couple, but those two and me, we got up on the roof and got drunk and got stoned and basically quit. And yeah, it probably not the greatest way, admittedly, but hey, it is what it is. I was a drunk. I am a drunk. What am I talking about? But then I got a job, Red Lobster, started getting into who would be my fiance, and I ended up leaving the girlfriend I had for her, and things were going great with her for a while, and hence why she became my fiance, and we got engaged. And at the beginning of the relationship, I had roommates, and so it was a lot of partying, and she'd come over and hang out, and it was fun. Then she moved in. It was just us, and the roommates were gone. And again, it got pretty good, but my drinking was just still slowly churning and getting worse and worse. And over time, it became realization to her that she was just watching me destroy myself, the poor girl. And so, it got so bad that my withdrawals, like normally when you're an alkie and you have withdrawals, your hands get shaky. You'll notice this. Shaky hands, the shakes. But if you've ever been there before, it's so much worse than just your hand shaking. There's like an anxiety. There's a feeling in your chest. It's such an uncomfortable feeling. And mine would get worse and worse and worse. And then eventually, I started having seizures. And I wondered if it was maybe because I was somehow epileptic or something. And no, it's due to the alcohol. This is a real thing. You can look it up. Alcohol-related seizures. And basically, I had so much alcohol running through my veins that when I didn't have any alcohol running through my veins, it was a shock to the system. It was so used to having a certain amount that when it wasn't there, the body couldn't handle it. And so I'd have a seizure, because that's when I would have seizures. One time, I had a seizure while driving. I was driving to the store to get a bottle of liquor. I knew a seizure was coming on. I had my son with me at home. I left him there. I didn't have him in the car with me. I left him there doesn't sound much better either, but don't worry. He was okay. Trust me, not one of my proudest moments, but I bring it up because this is the kind of shit that alcohol would. I would never do that shit nowadays with my kids. Alcohol? All I knew was, I'm about to have a seizure. I need a bottle now. And I got to the store parking lot before I seized in the car, and woke up in an ambulance and told them immediately that I had my son at home and they got my phone out and called my fiance, and it was all good. But yeah, the seizures, bad stuff. But eventually the fiance left as well because friends are gone. Nobody's talking about my mom. My mom. That's about it. I did have a friend, a female friend, good friend, Nikki, and I hope she's doing all right. But and there was never like a romantic shit. Although towards the end, in those drinking days, I did try and make a move on her, and I laughed because it was ridiculous. But I was just so lonely, and I just wanted her just sitting there with me. I guess wasn't enough. I don't know. I can't explain all my actions, to be honest, from that time. But no, she was always a really good friend. We've talked a few times in sobriety, but you just lose touch with people, right? And it's unfortunate because she was a good friend, like I said. But she was probably the last one that really talked to me before it was like, dude, like you got to do something. So I feel all alone again. I'm on the verge of eviction again. Everything's falling apart again. I had been to treatment a couple times, actually, inpatient once, a couple of different times outpatient, actually. I had tried AA meetings. Like, I had looked at this like, hey, I have tried to get better and I can't. Like, I'm doomed. And I got it in my head that if I'm going to die from this, I'm going to go out in some glorious fashion so that people, wake up to what alcohol can do. And that was kind of my mission, to be the poster child, basically. Even though there's been plenty. But I felt doomed. And I ended up back at my kid's mom's. And there's a couple instances where just like he had to see me in some states, obviously, seizure, just being a fucking drunken idiot. And then there was one time I used to keep my rum in a Gatorade bottle, and or no, it was a water bottle, and he took a drink because he thought it was water, and that was not good, obviously. Some not proud moments as a parent, is, again, what addiction does. And so my mom was kind of like, you just need to leave, whether it's to a treatment center. You can't be around your kid like that. So I did. I went to Fort Dodge, Iowa, in what was supposed to be the best treatment center in the state. And it kind of proved to me, yes, I would agree. CFR, or Community Family Resources. Well, he wasn't really a janitor. Like, he taught classes and stuff too, but he did a lot of the maintenance stuff. But old black dude named Ray, and Ray Brown. And he did a lot for me because I was there, and like I was trying, but it's just like my heart wasn't in it because I felt I was fucked. I just couldn't get over this sense of like, sobriety, happiness, like none of that's for me. And, that made me really sad to think about. And Ray kind of got through to me in several different ways. And like one example was, I remember him saying, you have your kid, would you die for him? Of course I would. Of course, Ray, I'd die for him. Okay, Ryan, you die for him. How come you won't live for him? Well, profound. Yes. Why am I struggling to live for him? And little things like that, where he just got me to realize, and talking to him about, everybody there was spiritual and religious, and I didn't have that. And he was like, dude, your higher power could be a doorknob. And he got me to realize that, yeah, what do I feel like is the higher? To me, it's just like the universe, nature. That's what's a higher power to me. Okay, there you go. Talk to that, pray to that. That's all that matters. And so that helped. I mean, there's lots of things he did. But hey, I made it, completed the program, stayed a little bit longer, ended up getting out and actually staying in Fort Dodge for a couple of years before I met my now wife, Tasha. But I stayed in Fort Dodge, did a little bit of work. Um, I ended up doing some good things. I mean, I got back into music, started playing guitar instead of drums, and got a band going where I was the guitar player. Made some money, got back into work, opened up my own restaurant. That's right, the Garden of Eaton. Now, the problem is, I did this with a couple of old timers in AA who were getting some Social Security benefits and wanted to put some money in to opening up a restaurant, and they wanted me to lead it. So we do this. But to not get their Social Security fucked over, they need me to put shit in my name. Talk to my mom about this. Is it a good idea? We figure AA guys and AA guys that have been around for a while, not like someone new to the program like me. So figured we could trust them. We do. Long story short, they ignored so much of what I said. Like, you wanted to do this with me because of my restaurant expertise, and you're not taking any of my expertise. And then they wanted to ignore things like the idea of labor. And I'm trying to explain to them, like, we can lose money with the doors open. I don't think you understand that. And one of them actually said to me, seems to me, only way you can lose money is if the doors are closed. And I'm like, you just people are not smart. Nope, this was a bad idea. And then they brought in these gambling machines, right? Fucking killed them. It was supposed to be like a failing restaurant. So they ended up putting them in the back. But regardless, these were illegal ones, right? They weren't registered. They didn't have a license. And we get busted for them. Shit's in my name. I get in trouble. It's a big pain in the ass. So when it comes down to it, the place we were renting for the restaurant was actually a buddy of theirs. So it was like, bye bye, Ryan. And then they found some other schmuck to do the same thing. Hey, you run the place, we'll help finance you. And when I left Fort Dodge, that place was still going. But I tell you what, there's a couple of months there where I had to look because the part I failed to mention was my tiny little apartment in downtown Fort Dodge was directly across the street from said restaurant, Garden of Eden. So for 2 months, I had to go look out my windows and see these motherfuckers still running a goddamn restaurant with some other sap while I'm sitting here in debt because of what they did to me. And all these people in the AA rooms in that town that said they had my back and all this, and like, they can all get fucked. They didn't do shit. And there should have been some outrage over what they did to me, and there wasn't enough. There's a couple of people pissed off, but nothing said, nothing came to like. And yeah, it was at that point I realized I had gotten enough from AA. And don't get me wrong, AA, the program, is wonderful. I still use shit from it to this day. AA, the rooms, a lot of them lost their way on what AA is really about. And really, a lot of people in those rooms make it like a social event. And it got to the point where I definitely say anyone new to sobriety, you have to go. You have to go. AA, NA. NA would be Narcotics Anonymous. That's it. Any addiction. And alcoholics can go there too. Alcohol is a drug. They even say it. So AA, NA, whatever it is, I mean, there's going to be some good people in those rooms. You need to go. You need to get an idea for basically how to approach the 12 steps, because that's really what helped me in the end become who I am today. But you really need that. So I stay in Fort Dodge despite this. And let me tell you how hard that was those first couple of years. Shit, the first year, I remember sitting outside my place and having arguments with myself. Okay, that's it. Fuck it. I'm going to a grocery store, buying a fucking bottle. No, motherfucker, you are not. Like, literally arguments with myself out loud. People probably thought I was nuts. I was. And, there were some hard times. I didn't have a car or nothing. I was carrying a duffel bag of laundry, a fucking mile and a half to the laundromat. Walmart was another mile and a half. Usually I'd fucking take laundry, drop it off. I'd walk my happy ass to Walmart, get the shit I needed, bring it back in, and then I'd carry all the shit home together. It was tough, man. But I found a way. I just kept working, kept trying to do the right things. Stayed in AA, went to a lot of meetings. I had a few different sponsors. The first one had his own issues, so not great, obviously. The third one was actually one of the fuckers from the restaurant thing. But the second one, Rob was his name, and he helped me tremendously. He opened up a lot. He really helped me understand some shit, and he really helped me get through the 12 steps. And the 12 steps of AA are very important. And then some of that shit's just easy to get through. You're just like, okay, yeah, like that's where I'm at. I know what I am, and I know I'm going to be this forever. What do I got to do to maintain the sobriety aspect of it? And, then you get into some deep shit with the 12 steps where you got to look at your past self and you got to look at this and that. And you really got to do some self-maintenance. And it's difficult, but so fulfilling. And I'm really happy for all of that, even though there was a lot of bad shit in AA and a lot of bad stuff that came from some of the people there. When it came down to it, it helped me. And I'll be grateful for that because it got me to where I am today. Again, to the person I am today, the person that I am comfortable with when I look in the mirror. Like, that's a big part of it, right? I mean, it's crazy, but it's true. I still use aspects of that AA program. I may not go to the meetings, and they always say, take what you need and leave. Well, it got to the point where there just wasn't much for me to take there. And, I've gone back occasionally, handful of times, mostly, when my wife would be getting a chip or something when she's hitting a big time anniversary or something. But even she doesn't go anymore. And the rooms are just weird. I don't think it's the way AA, NA, those programs are set up, either one. I don't think the rooms are doing it the way it's meant to be, I guess. But that said, still very important, I think, in the beginning to go so that you can at least get some knowledge of tools to help yourself in the hard times. Really, it's the biggest thing. And, again, it's a lot of help. You can't do it on your own. And the crazy part of it is, it really takes you to get the process started. Once the individual, the addict, says, okay, I have a fucking problem, I need to fix this, then the process can get started. And that's when that individual, that person needs the help. That's when they need the help. But again, things get easier over times. I don't ever think about drinking anymore. And, they always tell you, be mindful, while you're feeling good and okay, living your happy, sober life, your addiction's in the background doing push-ups, just waiting for the opportunity to strike. So there really is a daily maintenance to it. Whether you go to meetings every day, like some people, whether you don't go, like I did, like no matter what you do, if you've had, and that's the other thing I've found is what works for someone may not work for another person. Like the meetings, I've stayed sober. I haven't needed them. My uncle still goes every fucking day. He's been sober like twice as long as I have. But regardless, if you've been able to stay sober, you found something that works. And if you're at that point, you got to maintain it and not at any point, let your guard down. And, some people would say, well, what about the marijuana? I don't look at marijuana as a drug. I also eat mushrooms occasionally. Don't look at that as a drug. But I'm fucked up and weird sometimes. That shit's from the earth. It's been proven what mushrooms can do, okay, mentally, when you microdose, things like that. It's medicinal. They're medicines, basically, and much better than what the pharmaceutical companies offer, right? I mean, so think of it what you want. But I don't do any drugs, or what I consider drugs, and I don't drink, which is also a drug, really. So, I use my medicines. And boy, do I love them. And part of that is, hey, I did spend a lot of my sobriety from alcohol. With no weed. In part because I feared that I start smoking again and I get bored with it and want to get drunk. But I was never bored with getting high. I was just too hooked on the alcohol. Because since I started smoking weed, which is about probably 5 years ago, I started smoking again. But it made it, it's about halfway through sobriety. And it's made it immensely easier. Some would say, well, yeah, you got another vice. You're getting high. Maybe. But I know the benefits of marijuana. I know there were certain things, other things I was doing with anxiety, shit like that. Weeds helped a lot. Mushrooms have helped in ways like it's medicine. But, if it at any point had made me say, oh, this is fun, I'd like to get drunk again, I probably never would have done it again because my sobriety means that much to me. Plus, I don't think y'all, when I talk about the seizures and stuff like that, like I can't explain what it's like living your life like that, the withdrawals and the fear of the seizures and knowing you have to have that shit in your veins at all times in order to be functional. I mean, yeah, it's all I know is it was a very rough road, both when it came to the alcohol aspects, the addiction aspects, and then even into sobriety, and then just all aspects of life. It's not been easy, and life is generally not easy for most people. And just knowing, hey, through hard work and a shit ton of fucking help, I found a way through and I survived. And I'm still here surviving. And I'm happy with who I see in the mirror, And though it'll never go away, as I said, it gets easier over time. You learn the best ways to deal with things and how to manage it all. You truly just got to take it one day at a time. Thank you. I don't know what the hell that was, to be honest. I'm a little high. Hi, Brian. You're so terrible. Talking about addiction. You're just sitting there getting high. That's not good for you know how many people in those AA rooms, like, how many times I heard, hey man, just sit and have a joint and work on your 12 steps. Like, get high. Work on your 12. So like yeah. Those fucking rooms, man. Something else. But it's about time to end the tea party. You know what I mean? The tea party. I do love my tea. And really, because, it's about that time we're through the stuff we got through the stuffs, right? I hope you enjoyed, or at least found interesting or compelling the story of my addiction, a little bit of my youth, and just you know, it's really worked out. I mean, I think about oftentimes where I was at, you know, alone on Christmas, nowhere to go, no one to talk to. Yeah, been there. It's rough. And now, you know, going on 12 years of sobriety. Fucking crazy. With, you know, now a lovely little family, my wife, two little kids, my oldest, the one that made me a teenage parent. He's grown up and he's doing well. And it's, life moves on and life does get better. You just got to work at it. And, things still aren't perfect. Career wise, I've still got some things to do. And, we've still got dreams and goals to accomplish. But for, man, life's good. And it's at a much better spot than it was. So, hope you found something in there that you could relate to. Something, just hope something, you could get something out of it, I guess, is what I was trying to say. But it's that time. I'm starting to get delirious, starting to get tired, and I'm hungry. Oh, so hungry. So it's about that time. Yeah. But do not forget to check out my weekly What the Fuck, crazy shit about space, all the good stuffs, all the good stuffs. Crazy shit about space. I said weekly What the Fuck. I need to get, another whatchamacallit, mad chatter. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing, music? You stop it. It's not time yet. Need to get another mad cooking with the chatter going for speaking of my eldest child, my eldest son. Speaking of he, yeah. Need to get another cooking with the chatter going. For sure. But if you check out my weekly What the Fuck, which should be coming out tomorrow, Saturday, talk a little bit about what we mentioned earlier. Continue the talk of the UFO shit. Why aren't we paying attention to that? That's going to be that'll probably be next week. I'll probably do that separately, or maybe I'll combine them. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm also going to be talking about, of course, more MTG, Andre Taylor Gray, and Mitch McConnell and the crazy fucking people doing their crazy beliefs, and the same people who bring you QAnon and all this crazy shit. Oh man. You know what else is crazy? I found out. Eating fish, hey, not so is great for because everybody talks about eating animals because livestock, the factory, the production that goes on for all of that meat. Talking about not great for the environment. Guess what else? Put fish on that list. I don't really have anything against eating fish or vegetarians or anything like that. I'm not a big fan of eating fish. And I recently read something that was talking about how the stuff in fish that everybody thought was so wonderful, maybe not so wonderful, like not as helpful as once thought. And then this comes up to where and sorry if that sounded like, I really am getting fucking delirious. But then this shit comes up with the climate, and it's like, oh, this is making it worse too, the fish. And why? Well, because when they go fishing, these large, the fishing trolleys, I guess, you get these fishing boats, they go out and they drag these huge nets and in the water, and they get dragged across the ocean floor, and it stirs up sedimentary. A lot of this shit that has carbon built up, it's just fucking crazy. I don't know if you saw a few nights ago, Tuesday night, the blood moon, supermoon, and total lunar eclipse all together in one to form the super flower blood moon. That's right. I was not able to see it, but there was some really good pictures of it online. Some really awesome stuff. I always love that kind of shit. The blood moons get me, I love those. Harvest moons are cool, of course, too. But definitely check those out if you weren't out looking at it yourself. All right. I think with that said, let's get the fuck out of here, shall we? I get some sleep tomorrow. I gotta get some sleep. I got a big day. I got an interview with a weed job. See if I go work with some weed. And then we got a kid's appointment. Gotta get mother from the airport. Mom, we're coming to get you. Shaun of the Dead. I'm gonna go watch Shaun of the Dead while I eat. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna fucking do. Shaun of the Dead it is. Shaun of the motherfucking Dead it is. But yeah, big day tomorrow. Also got to get my weekly What the Fuck recorded. And then, hey, it's going to be a very chill weekend for the chatters. So it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. Just chilling, watching some hockey, some hooky, some puck, and some ball, some rock, some basketball. The association. Anyway, the association. Oh, yeah. It's the crazies. It's the crazies. Delirious. Time to get the fuck out of here. All right. Yes, the man chatter. Follow him, me, on the Twitter and the gram at RMK. Otherwise, as always, much love. Stay safe, stay vigilant, stay mad. Until next time, ta-ta for now.